Picture this. Lagos, 2 a.m. A pair of red bottom heels click down a corridor that smells of incense and something older, something you don't have a name for until you've smelled it once, and then you never forget it. The hand that reaches for the door handle is flawless. Cartier bracelet, nails the color of blood. On her wrist, beneath the bracelet, barely visible, a thin red thread tied in a knot that was made by someone else's hands that do not appear in any photograph. She steps over the white cloth laid across the doorway. She does not hesitate. She has done this before. Inside the room, candles, a lot of them, low voices in Yoruba, not conversation, something older than conversation. The shadows on the wall don't quite match the shapes of the people casting them. The door closes. In Lagos, there are two kinds of powerful people: those who have money and those who have something money cannot buy. This is the story of 3 women who had both, and the senator who thought he owned them, and the girls who paid the price for all of it. Nobody in this story is innocent. I mean nobody at all. I want you to remember that. But some people were more guilty than others. Let me start from the beginning. It was a Thursday night on Victoria Island, which in Lagos means it was effectively the weekend, which in certain circles means it was effectively a competition. The rooftop lounge was called something French that nobody pronounced correctly, and it didn't matter because nobody was there for the name. They were there to be seen, to document, to perform a version of their lives that was 40% real and 60% aspirational and 100% calculated. The birthday girl, some heiress whose father owned 3 petrol stations in 3 different states, had rented the entire rooftop. Afro beats at a volume that made conversation optional. Pink champagne that cost more than a teacher's monthly salary. Balloons everywhere. Photographers, influencers. A setup that will look by tomorrow morning like a movie on everyone's Instagram story. And at the center of it all, though she would never stand at any actual center because she preferred corners, was Lola, 34 years old, the kind of beautiful that doesn't need effort, or at least appears that way, and the appearing is the real work. She sat at the corner table with her champagne untouched, watching, just watching. Her eyes moved across the room the way a chess grandmaster moves across a board, not seeing people, seeing positions, liabilities, assets, opportunities. She had 3 phones on the table. She hadn't touched any of them in 20 minutes. Men kept finding reasons to walk past her table. She acknowledged none of them. Women kept stealing glances. She noticed all of them. This was Lola's natural habitat. Not the party itself, but the age of the party, where you could see everything without being consumed by anything. She had built her entire life on that principle. Observe, calculate, never be the one who needs anything from the room. About 15 feet away, Kate was doing something entirely different. Kate, 29, was on the dance floor, but calling what she was doing dancing would be like calling what a surgeon does cutting. She was walking. Every movement was angled toward the phone mounted on the little stabilizer rig her friend was holding. Every laugh was timed. Every hair flip was deliberate. She had the kind of face that cameras fell in love with, and she had long since stopped being surprised by it and started simply using it. She posted a reel. Within 40 minutes, 40,000 likes, 3 brand DMs, and 7 messages from girls she didn't know, variations of the same message, the message she had trained her algorithm to attract. Auntie, please, how did you make it? I want to learn from you. I'm hardworking. I am beautiful. I just need a mentor. Kate read each one, smiled at her phone in a way the camera didn't catch, filed them. And then there was Tega. Tega, 31, was near the bar, facing the wall, talking into her phone in a voice so low that the person beside her could hear nothing but rhythm, no words. The package is confirmed for Saturday. No, not that location, the other one. I said make sure her phone stays off the entire time. I am not repeating myself. Yes, 24 hours, handle it. She hung up, ordered her water, checked 2 other phones, sent 4 messages, put everything in her bag. If you were standing next to Tega that night, you would have thought she was scheduling a corporate retreat. You would have been more right than you knew and more wrong than you could imagine. The 3 of them, Lola, Kate, Tega, were what Lagos people call the Trinity. Not publicly, not out loud, but in whispers in the DMs of girls who had met them and survived, in the half sentences of men who owed them something. 3 women, 1 operation, 0 apologies. They lived in a penthouse on Eko Atlantic. They drove matching G-Wagons, black, tinted, personalized plates. They had been to Paris twice in 1 month, last February. They existed in circles of Lagos society that normal people saw only through phone screens, pressing the heart button on photos of lives they couldn't afford and couldn't explain. Everyone wanted to be them. Nobody knew what it cost. But here is the thing about the life in Lagos. It is never really yours. Not if someone else is paying for it. And someone always is. The penthouse registered to a company called Gold Link Properties Limited. Gold Link Properties Limited had 1 shareholder. That shareholder is a man named Senator Chukwemeka Otumba. The G-Wagon leased through another shell company, same shareholder. The private jet trips booked through a travel account managed by the senator's personal assistant, a nervous man named Femi who had signed an NDA so comprehensive it covered things he hadn't done yet. The Trinity were not free women, not yet. They were expensive, they were powerful in their own right, but they were, for now, operating inside a cage that looked like a penthouse, drove like a G-Wagon, and tasted like Paris. And they knew it. At 12:47 a.m., Lola's personal phone, not the tray on the table, the one in her bag, the one whose number fewer than 10 people in the world had, vibrated once. She reached for it without expression. The message was from a contact saved simply as F, Femi, the senator's assistant. He wants a meeting, not a call. Meeting, ranch, Saturday, non-negotiable. She read it twice, put the phone back in her bag. She picked up the champagne she hadn't touched all night and set it back down. Then she opened one of the 3 phones on the table and typed a single message to her group chat. The group was named, with no irony at all, The Board. The message read, "He's summoning us again." She put the phone down, looked at the dance floor, found Kate's eyes across the room. Kate had seen the message. She didn't stop dancing, but her smile changed just slightly, just around the edges. Something tightened. She looked for Tega. Tega was already looking at her. Tega's face showed nothing. It never showed nothing. It showed nothing so completely that the nothing itself became information. 3 women, 1 message, a ranch in Ogun State. Now, you want to know what happens at that ranch? I'll tell you. I promise I'll tell you. But first, let me tell you how these 3 women ended up here, in this penthouse, in these cars, in this arrangement, because that story is in some ways more disturbing than what happens at the ranch, because it happened in broad daylight, in brunch restaurants, on Instagram, in voice notes that sounded like answered prayers, and because it's still happening right now, somewhere in this city, as you watch this. 6 months before that Thursday night, on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon in March, Kate posted a reel. The caption was, "Stop asking me how I afford my lifestyle." So I made this video to explain. Ha ha ha. The video was 3 minutes long. It showed her apartment, deliberately messy in a curated way, lived in, aspirational. She talked about building multiple streams, about knowing your worth, about surrounding yourself with the right network. She said the word aligned 4 times. She never mentioned a senator. She never mentioned a ranch. She never mentioned anything specific at all. And that vagueness was not careless. It was architecture. The reel got 2.3 million views in 72 hours. The DMs, hundreds of them, came from a very specific type of girl, young, ambitious, new to Lagos or desperate to matter in it, beautiful in ways they had not yet fully learned to monetize, hungry in the particular way that hunger looks when it's wearing its Sunday best and trying not to show. Lola had given Kate a checklist, not written down. Nothing important in this operation was ever written down, but memorized. The criteria were precise. Between 18 and 24 years old, university educated or in the process, smart enough to follow instructions, not established enough to have legal resources, not strong family connections in Lagos, ideally from Edo, Delta, Anambra states, where a girl can disappear into the city without anyone asking the right questions to the right people. Beautiful but not industry famous, ambitious but not connected. Most importantly, the kind of ambition that had not yet been tampered by disappointment. The pure unguarded kind, the kind that trusts a smile from a beautiful woman in a nice restaurant. From 347 DMs, Kate identified 9 candidates. She forwarded 9 voice notes to Lola. Lola listened to each. She said yes to 3. Amara was the first. 22 years old, biochemistry graduate, University of Ibadan. She had been in Lagos for 7 months, living with 2 cousins in a 2-bedroom flat in Surulere, working part-time at a pharmacy in Ikeja while applying for jobs she wasn't getting. She had sent Kate a voice note that was 43 seconds long. Her voice was shaking at the beginning, not fear. Kate would later think, just the particular nervousness of someone who knows they only have one chance to make a good impression. By the end of the voice note, she had steadied herself. She said, "I know I have what it takes. I just need someone to show me the door." Kate listened to it twice, sent it to Lola. Lola's reply came in 11 seconds. Perfect. The following Saturday, Kate invited Amara to a brunch at a restaurant in Lekki Phase 1 that Amara had only ever seen in other people's photos. Amara arrived 8 minutes early. She was wearing her best dress, a bodycon midi she had bought in Oshodi Market 6 months ago and saved for important occasions. She had done her own makeup. Her nails were freshly painted. She had rehearsed things to say. She didn't need them. Kate was warm, genuinely, naturally, practically warm. The kind of warmth that had been refined over years into something indistinguishable from the real thing. She told Amara she was gorgeous. She meant it in a way a farmer means it when he says a harvest is beautiful, appreciation, and appetite. Halfway through brunch, Tega arrived, introduced as my business associate. She works in events and hospitality. Tega shook Amara's hand and smiled and asked her questions about herself in a way that felt like interest and was actually assessment. She was clocking Amara's family situation, her financial status, her level of internet presence, her connections in the city. Amara had none of the concerning ones. She was, from their professional perspective, ideal. They ordered drinks. Amara noticed with a small curiosity she didn't voice that Kate and Tega both had mocktails. The menu were expensive. Kate paid without looking at the bill. They took photos. 3 beautiful women at brunch, laughing at something. Amara posted it that evening with a caption, "God is doing it," with an amen emoji. She had no idea what was being done to her. The following week, Kate called Amara with what she described as an incredible opportunity. A private event, a gathering of investors and government people at a ranch in Ogun State. The client needed beautiful, presentable girls to serve drinks, welcome guests, look polished. It was one weekend, Friday to Sunday. The dress code will be provided, transportation will be arranged, and the pay. Amara's breath caught when she heard it. 500,000 naira for a weekend. Amara was making 40,000 naira a month at the pharmacy. She said yes before Kate finished the sentence. That night, she sent her mother a voice note. You could hear her trying to stay calm and failing, the joy breaking through. She said, "Mommy, I think my breakthrough has come. I can't say everything yet, but I think God is moving. Pray for me." Her mother said she would pray. She did. The prayers didn't reach where Amara was going. On Friday evening, a tinted black SUV collected Amara and 2 other girls, Chisom, 21, and Blessing, 23, from separate locations across Lagos. They had all been told to arrive looking event ready. They did. 3 young women in nice dresses, nervous and excited, in the way you are when you think your life is about to change, which it was, only not in the direction they were facing. Tega was driving. There was a man in the front passenger seat whose name nobody gave. He looked out the window from the entire journey. 40 minutes into the drive, somewhere after Shagamu, Tega said casually, conversationally, like she was mentioning the weather, "Girls, one quick thing. No cameras at private events. It's standard for this level of client. So I will just hold your phones till we get back. Normal protocol, don't worry." Chisom handed hers over without hesitation. Blessing hesitated just for a second, then handed hers over. Amara held on to hers for a moment. She thought about calling her mother, about sending one more voice note. Something in her chest was speaking, that thing in us that knows before we know. Tega looked at her in the rear view mirror, smiled, patient, waiting. Amara gave her the phone. The phones went into a black bag in the glove compartment. The bag was zipped. The SUV turned off the main road onto a smaller road, then a smaller one. Trees on both sides now. No street lights. The gates of the ranch appeared in the headlights. They were tall, iron, decorative, but serious. They opened. The SUV drove through. The gates closed behind them. That was Friday evening. By Sunday morning, 2 of the girls came back to Lagos. Chisom and Blessing came back changed, quieter in a way that didn't feel like quiet. It felt like something had been torn down inside them. Blessing kept her sunglasses on for the drive back. Even though it was overcast, Chisom stared out the window and didn't blink for the long stretches. They were each handed an envelope, cash, 500,000 naira as promised. Tega drove them home in the same SUV. The man in the passenger seat didn't look out the window. On the way back, he stared straight ahead instead. Nobody spoke. Amara was not in the car. Tega told them Amara had decided to stay an extra day and would find her way back. Neither girl questioned this. Later, separately, each of them would wonder why they hadn't questioned it. They would spend a long time asking themselves that question. But Amara did come back to Lagos, just not that Sunday, and not the same Amara. Before I tell you about Amara, I need to tell you about the senator, because you cannot understand what happened at the ranch without understanding the man who owned it. Senator Chukwuemeka Otumba, 61 years old, 3 times in the Senate, representing a riverine constituency in the southwest. He had the kind of face that newspapers liked, broad, assured, symmetrical in the way that reached as trustworthy on television. He wore agbada on Sundays, suits on weekdays, and traditional attire at funerals, which he attended often. Because powerful men in Nigeria always attend funerals. It is a way of reminding people that death visits everyone except apparently them. His Wikipedia page had 1,400 words. His philanthropic foundation had built 14 boreholes and 3 primary schools in his constituency. His office walls held degrees from Ibadan and a fellowship plaque from an institute in London. His wife appeared at every public function. His children studied abroad. His police file had not 1,400 words. It had nearly 4,000. Most of it was sealed. Some of it had been sealed by the same people who wrote it. In Nigeria, we say that some men do not win elections. They buy them. And some men do not even buy their own elections. They inherit the mechanism for winning them from something much older than money and much more reliable than votes. The senator's power was not simply political. This is the part that takes a moment to absorb. The ranch in Ogun State was not just a ranch. It was, in the language of the people who built and maintained it, a site, a place where the maintenance of certain arrangements took place. Arrangements between the visible world and something less visible, between what Otumba had and what he had promised in exchange for it. This is not metaphor. I am not speaking in code. The gatherings at the ranch happened 4 times a year. Always the same structure, the same senators' associates, men of similar standing, men with similar arrangements of their own would arrive on Friday. The girls will arrive on Friday, and certain rituals will take place over the course of the weekend that were, in the words of one of the 2 men who have ever spoken about it, not anything you can describe to someone who has not seen it, because the words available in any language are not sufficient and are also not the point. The girls were not simply entertainment, they were, in the senator's private terminology, his renewal. I will not tell you every detail of what happened to Amara at the ranch. Some things, when you name them in full, give them more life. What I will tell you is this. Amara came back to Lagos 8 days after the gates closed behind her. Tega arranged her transport. She arrived at her flat in Surulere at 7 a.m. on Sunday. Her roommate Ngozi opened the door and did not immediately recognize her, not because she looked different physically, but because the person in Amara's face was somehow further back than usual, like she had retreated some distance behind her own eyes. Amara sat on the couch. She did not ask for water. She did not ask about her phone. She sat and looked at a point on the wall, approximately 18 inches to the left of the television, and she hummed. A song long, rhythmic, not Afro beats, not gospel. Ngozi would have recognized gospel. Something older, something without a name she could place. Ngozi tried talking to her. Amara did not respond to her name. She responded to nothing. She was present physically and absent in every other way that matters. Ngozi called Amara's cousin. The cousin called Kate. Kate arrived at the flat within 40 minutes, which tells you that she was not surprised by the call. She sat across from Amara. She watched her. Amara hummed. Kate's hands, usually still, usually controlled, were shaking slightly. She pressed them together in her lap. Then she went to the bedroom and called Lola. Lola, this girl, something is wrong. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. Lola caught her. Kate continued. She's sitting there and she won't even. Lola cut her off again. Kate, listen to me. Kate continued. She's a person. Lola, she's 21 years old and Lola cut her again. Tega will handle it. Kate continued. Handle what? Handle what exactly? What does that even? Lola cut her again. Kate, Tega will handle it. Go home. Wash your face. Don't go back into that room. The call ended. Kate stood in the bathroom of Amara's Surulere flat for 3 minutes. Then she washed her face as instructed. Then she went back into the living room. She told Ngozi, help is coming and don't call anyone else. As she left, she went home. She did not post anything on Instagram that day, which her followers noticed because she posted every single day. Some of them sent concerned messages. She responded to none of them. She sat in her penthouse and watched the sun go down over the Lagos Lagoon. She did not cry. She almost did. She stopped herself. She had learned from Lola that emotion is useful only when it can be directed. Uncontrolled emotion is a liability, and in their business, liabilities could get you killed. She went to bed at 9 p.m. She didn't sleep. Tega arrived at Amara's flat the following morning with 2 men. She paid the landlord in cash in an envelope 3 months in advance to say if anyone asks that he had no record of a tenant named Amara. He was a practical man with a family to feed. He took the envelope. Tega packed Amara's things. She did it efficiently, the way she did everything. She packed the graduation photograph from the shelf. Amara in the purple gown, her mother beside her, both of them grinding the particular grind of people who have earned something. She packed the Bible with Amara's name written on the inside cover in careful, girlish handwriting. Amara Chidimma Eze, giving with love. She packed a little bottle of Victoria's Secret perfume from the dresser, half empty, cap slightly loose, the way young women's perfume always is. Amara did not resist. She walked to the car when they laid her there. She sat in the back seat. She hummed. Amara was taken to a facility in Ikorodu. I won't call it a hospital. It wasn't a hospital. It was a private arrangement, the kind that accepts patients in cash and asks no questions that the paying party hasn't already answered. Her family was contacted and told she had suffered a severe mental breakdown. The stress of Lagos life, they were told. It happens to a lot of young people who come to the city unprepared. Her mother came from Benin. Her uncle came from Warri. They collected her. They took her home. They told people she wasn't well. They still don't know what made her that way. Amara never spoke clearly again. She still hums the same song, the one without a name. Her mother says sometimes, very early in the morning, the humming wakes her up. Tega drove home from Ikorodu. She stopped at a restaurant in Oba and ate jollof rice with fried plantain. Then she drove to the penthouse. She showered. She put on comfortable clothes. She made tea and settled into her couch with Netflix. She had handled it. This was Tuesday. By Friday, she was back on the phone, confirming logistics, speaking in code, handling the next thing and the next thing after that. This was her nature. This was her gift. Tega did not accumulate guilt. She metabolized it and moved on, the way a machine metabolizes fuel, without feeling it, without naming it, until that Friday night. Tega woke up at 3:17 a.m., not gradually, suddenly, as if something had called her name in her ear. She sat up in the dark. Her bedroom was empty, door closed. The Lagos night outside was its usual. Distant traffic, a dog somewhere, permanent low hum of generators. And then she heard it, humming. Not outside the window, not from another apartment, inside her room. Coming from, she would later describe this once to Lola using the most careful language she could find, coming from the corner by the wardrobe where it was darkest. The same song, the rhythm she had heard, coming from Amara's unmoving mouth, the song without a name. Tega was not a woman who frightened easily. She had done things that would paralyze most people. She sat in the dark of her bedroom, and she heard that humming from the corner where nothing was, and she did not move, did not breathe, did not scream. She sat there until the sound stopped. It stopped at exactly 4 a.m. She turned the light on. The corner was empty. The room was empty. Of course, it was empty. She made tea and sat at the kitchen table until morning. She never told Kate. She told Lola once, using careful language, asking it as if it were almost a question. Lola, the Amara situation, is there a residue from the ritual? Is it possible that something followed me? Lola was quiet for a moment. Then she said, go see Baba. This week, Tega went. Baba confirmed what she feared, that I am getting ahead of myself. 3 weeks after Amara was packed into a car and driven away from her own life, the senator sent a message, not to Lola directly. He communicated through intermediaries, always a habit of men who know that directness creates evidence. The message came through Femi, his assistant, delivered via encrypted message at 9 a.m. on a Monday. The senator is reviewing operational expenses. He will be adjusting the monthly retainer by 60%, effective immediately. He appreciates your continued partnership. 60%. Lola read the message at her kitchen table. She was eating ogi, simple, deliberate, like everything she did. She set her spoon down, read it again. She looked at Kate, who was sitting across from her, and said nothing. Kate said, 60%? Lola said, 60%. Tega said from the living room, where she was standing with her phone already in her hand. He didn't even call personally. He sent Femi. There was a pause. He sent Femi, Lola repeated, and in her voice was a particular quality, not anger, which is loud and reactive, but fury, which is quiet and strategic. This was the first mistake. You do not cut the power supply of the machine that keeps your lights on, and you especially do not send Femi to do it. But the senator had, in recent months, grown overconfident in the way that powerful men do when the consequences of their actions have been absorbed by other people for long enough. He has started to believe that the Trinity were a managed asset, useful, controllable, ultimately disposable. He has started to believe that the value in their arrangement flowed primarily from him, and that they should be grateful for the overflow. He had forgotten something important, that a machine that knows how the house is wired can also take the whole house down. Lola made 2 calls that morning. The first was to a lawyer in London, a firm on the 7th floor of a building near Canary Wharf, retained on a modest annual fee, whose job was very simple: hold a package and, in the event of certain conditions, open it. The second call was to a man called only Baba Abba. Old father, he lived on a narrow waterway in the deep creeks of Badagry, in a compound you reached by a motorized canoe, in a place that did not appear on Google Maps and probably should not. Baba Amara was blind in his right eye. He was not blind in any other meaningful way. Lola told Kate and Tega, "We are going to Badagry." They drove out of Lagos on a Wednesday afternoon, past the checkpoints and the traffic that never quite ends, west toward Badagry, where the air changes and the city thins out, and you begin to feel, if you are sensitive to such things, that you are moving through layers of time rather than simply distance. A man met them at a small jetty. No words, he held the canoe steady while they got in. 30 minutes across water, the creek was brown and still, and the trees on both sides were thick enough that the sky above was a narrow stripe. Bird sounds, water, the low buzz of the motor. The compound was small, 3 structures, a fire going even in the afternoon heat. 2 young men who glanced at the Trinity and looked away quickly. Baba Abbas sat outside one of the structures in a wooden chair as if he had been waiting, which in a sense he had. He was old in a way that went past years. His remaining eye was sharp and quiet and saw everything at once. He spoke mostly in Yoruba, with Lola translating for Kate, who followed incompletely, and Tega, who didn't follow at all but listened anyway. He confirmed what Lola had suspected. The senator had found someone new, another occultist, a younger, more aggressive practitioner working from somewhere in Osun State. He had contracted this person to shift the arrangement, to reduce the lady's influence, to perhaps eliminate it entirely. The man is trying to cut the thread, Baba said, but he does not understand what the thread is made of. He thinks it goes from him to you. It goes from you through him. The thread does not free him. When it is caught, it strangles him. He looked at each of them in turn. Renew your protections, all 3 of you, and move quickly, because he is not patient, and neither is what he has hired. They stayed 2 hours. They returned across the water in the late afternoon light. None of them spoke on the canoe. Lagos skyline ahead of them in the distance. The high rises, the cranes, the city that never stops building. By the time they were back in the penthouse that evening, Lola had made her decision. Tega had a room in the penthouse that they called among themselves the archive. In any other woman's apartment, it would have been a second bedroom or a study. In Tega's apartment, because Tega lived alone, she had always lived alone, it was a room with a locked door, and inside that door, a life's work. 3 years of accumulated evidence, 4 hard drives, 2 cloud accounts with different providers in different countries, each encrypted separately, a physical folder in the London law firm, a USB drive in a safe deposit box in a bank in Accra, the key to which was in Lola's possession. What was on these drives? Video recordings. The hidden cameras at the ranch had been installed over the course of 18 months, disguised as decorative objects, wall sconces, a clock, 2 of them inside what the senator called the main room, where the gatherings took place. Not every gathering had been captured, but enough to be specific, enough to be undeniable. Financial records, 4 years of transfer data, assembled piece by piece from bank statements and third-party account records, linking 17 transactions directly from the senator's legitimate accounts to the shell companies through which the Trinity lifestyle was funded. This by itself was prosecutable. Testimonies, 4 young women who had been through the ranch and come back different, not Amara, who was no longer in a condition to give testimony. The other 4 who had been quieter and less damaged, who had accepted payment and signed documents they were told were confidentiality agreements and were not quiet. Tega had found them one by one. Over 2 years, she had been gentle with them. She had given them time. She had recorded each conversation with consent they didn't quite understand they were giving, and each recording had been notarized by a lawyer in Port Harcourt who asked no questions. This was Tega's genius, not the kiosk management, not the logistics. This the quiet, patient, systematic construction of an exit strategy that worked in every direction.